Well, we're here for episode 763 of the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, and I'm excited to have joining us in the virtual studio Dr. Sherry Pill Jackson. Listen, a retired IRS agent, a CPA, a certified fraud examiner, and an author, and certainly a financial powerhouse. She is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs grow their income, protect their wealth, and avoid burnout. And today you're going to get to experience our conversation here on this topic, how to grow your business and enjoy more income. Even when you want to avoid burnout, we're excited to have you here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Listen, we're going to get started. We welcome you and see you coming on in. We're going to get started officially right after this quick intro. Don't you move.
Whoa. Why y'all so happy?
You don't know? Sharvette Mitchell is on the radio.
It's time to get motivated, excited, and influenced. Why? It's the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, live from Richmond, Virginia. And now, here to motivate, excite, and influence you, Sharvette Mitchell.
Well, hello, everyone. And again, welcome to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, broadcasting live from the capital city of Richmond, Virginia, but heard and seen all across the World Wide Web. Thank you certainly to all of our live streaming viewers and those that check us out in our podcast. Listen, you might be listening from Apple Podcasts, you might be listening Apple iTunes, you might be listening from Spotify, iHeart Radio, you might even be listening from Amazon Music. We're excited to have you. And then certainly those of you that are viewing us, listen, we love that you hang out with us on YouTube, youtube.com/Sharvette. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button while you're at it. Go ahead and subscribe to our content because I know that you like our content. And you know, the goal of this show is to motivate, excite, and influence. And we do just that with amazing guests. So listen, without further ado, let me share a little bit about our guest and bring her on in up to the stage, up to the mic here. And so we're excited to have Dr. Sherry Pill Jackson, again, a retired IRS agent, CPA, certified fraud examiner, and author, who has helped over 100,000 individuals and businesses keep, protect, and grow their earnings using her proprietary KPG system. And listen, with over 35 years of experience, Dr. Jackson is an expert in tax reduction and wealth building. And through her speaking and her books and her consulting, she has shared her wealth of knowledge to not just educate, but also create lasting wealth and security. And Dr. Jackson is also the author of impactful books like How to Escape the Rat Race. And with a social media following of over 44,000, she empowers people every day to achieve financial freedom and legacy. So put your virtual hands together as we welcome up to the stage here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, Dr. Jackson. Hello and welcome.
Thank you so much, Sharvette, for having me on your show.
Oh, wow. We're excited to have you and to be able to kind of jump on into this topic here, which I know our viewers are interested to hear about. And so, Dr. Jackson, you have a huge, impressive background. And can you walk us through kind of like what your journey was like? How, what came first? Did the chicken come before the egg? And when did you fall in love with hip hop? All the things.
Really, I grew up partially in Detroit, and then my family moved to Atlanta. When I was about 18, my father said, "You're getting out when you're 18." I mean, when I was about 15. So I was, oh my goodness, I got to get out when I'm 18. So one day he brought home a Black Enterprise magazine, and he opened it up to the middle, and he said, "You need to pick one of these careers." And it was the top Black careers. And they said, "You like nice things, so you need to." So I'm looking at this book, and I'm like, okay, it says doctor. I don't think I like blood. And it says engineer. My uncle was in school for engineering at Tuskegee, and I saw his books, and I don't do that.
Right.
And I said, accountant. Okay, I'm pretty good with math. I can add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So at that age of 15, I decided that I was going to be an accountant. My father also said, with an accounting degree, you can do several things. You can work in corporate America. You can work for a CPA firm. You can start your own firm. You can teach so many different things. Yeah. So I set out to do that, went to college, got my bachelor's in business administration. I worked for a couple of CPA firms. And after that, I worked for corporate America. That was not for me. One of the things he used to tell me as a child is we couldn't complain in our house. If you don't like where you are at point A, you got to go to point B. So
All right.
left corporate America and then got a job at the IRS. So I was an IRS agent for 7.5 years. So I learned all about the ins and outs of what goes on in the IRS.
Wow.
And after that, I left and started a CPA firm. Then I retired from being a CPA. So now I am a business strategist that helps small business owners that are stuck paying all their money out in taxes and they want to grow. And I also help individuals that are employees that are either afraid of the pink slip because right now they're coming.
Yeah.
Or they said, okay, I have a decent salary, but I don't know what to do to build a legacy. So many people talk about legacy.
Yeah.
And it's a real thing that in our community, we don't know how to do. So that's my number one goal, is to help the small business owners and the high earning employees build legacies.
Oh, wow. And certainly legacy almost feels like a buzzword that you hear so much. And so awesome. And what would you say would be like some of the biggest mindset shifts for entrepreneurs and even, these high earning individuals around, kind of switching from survival mode to really financial independence, that kind of mindset shift?
Teaching people and the children and the individuals, the husbands, the wives, teaching people how to have money work for them instead of how to work for money. That is the biggest one, Sharvette, because we're always taught, oh, you need to go get a good job. First to get a good education, get a good job, and then you stay there. Well, you know what? John D. Rockefeller said something very interesting that rings in my mind all the time. He said, I don't want work. I don't want thinkers. I want workers. And I look at corporate America the same way. They want workers. Our government school system is to make people obedient employees. They're not teaching entrepreneurship. They're not teaching people how to balance a checkbook. They want you broke, busted, and disgusted while you do your 9 to 5 every day for the rest of your life. And I'm telling people, you need to get out of that circumstance. Standing in that circle, looking out at everybody else. That's what circumstance means. And we're getting out of that, going on to make sure that we break that mold. We get out of the box. It's been a long time since I've been in the box, and I don't even know where it is now. So I'm really, really
we done bashed the box. We done threw the box in the trash. The box is gone. Awesome. Yeah.
So I am very, very different in the way that I teach people than the regular things that you hear on the radio or you hear on podcasts. I have a very, very different route that I've taken to get to the point where I am building a legacy. So I teach people that.
Wonderful, which is such a great segue for your KPG system that you developed, certainly proprietary. And so keep, protect, grow. And so talk to us a little bit about KPG.
Okay, so doing all of that at the same time is what you want to do without wearing yourself out. And I'll just go into each one of them a little bit, keeping what you earn.
That's good.
We spend billions of dollars every year on conspicuous consumption. And now that thing is coming out about all of the stuff made in China, people buying Birkin bags for $22,000. So it's coming out now, but we were spending that much. And instead of doing that, we need to keep that money. We need to stay out of the malls. We need to stay out of what I call the earn spend cycle. You get paid on Friday and you're broke by Monday.
Right.
So keeping that involves a lot of things, depending on where you are in your financial world. Things like not going to the grocery store hungry. Every time I go to the grocery store hungry, I spend at least $20 more than I'm supposed to.
Minimum.
It is as opposed to shopping in Neiman Marcus, what I call needless markup. Go to the thrift store. I found some wonderful suits and things at the thrift store. Nobody knows that I went to the thrift store to get them. So that's saving me a lot of money, and taking that money that I save and investing it. That's keeping what you earn. Another one, I'm here in the South. I'm in the Atlanta area, and it gets hot down here. I'm sure it gets hot up there too. But
yes,
in the wintertime, you can I have a 4-level house, and I'm here by myself. I take a space heater from room to room because I'm not gonna heat up Georgia.
Right.
Keep that bill down under $300. But what can you do in the summer? Well, when I was younger and didn't have a lot of money, I made a portable air conditioner. out of a cooler, just the styrofoam coolers.
Yeah.
Put 18 bottles of water in there, put 2 holes in the top, put a fan down on one side and put one of those little, I guess you call it a dryer tube, so that the air could press down and come out on me. And I would sit it in a chair wherever I was, and it would cool me for maybe 2 hours, 3 hours.
Uh-huh.
And it kept those air conditioning bills down. So you have to be very innovative when you need to save money. So that's part of the system there. Also, a long time ago, doing your own hair. I didn't do my own hair because I feel like I looked like James Brown when I did my hair. Hair is very expensive. So, that was a big, so cutting the cost that you can cut, that's the K. Now the P is protect. Sharvette, we live in the United States of America. We have 5% of the world's population, but we have 70% of the world's lawsuits. We have more lawyers in Jacksonville, Florida than the whole of Japan. And what are they doing? You have a very, very high chance of being sued, especially since that lady a long time ago spilled the coffee in McDonald's and got the big, everybody's after that. It's the new lottery. So you have to protect what you earn. It's not just about what you earn. It's about what you keep. So keeping it involves you making sure that you have insurance, everybody, car insurance, house insurance, and all of that. And when you're professionals like us, you need to have other kinds of insurance. Like I have errors and omissions insurance.
Yes.
Then you have assurance. And in my book, assurance is saving at least 6 months of expenses. So that if something tragic happens, either, on a national scale or even in your private life, you have 6 months worth of money to figure it out while you're still paying your bills. So that is part of protection. Another part of protection is making sure that your income and your finances are protected from predators and even the IRS. So I'm very good at making sure that people that are being audited win their audits, because I know the insides. And, I just know the tricks in all of the different deductions that people don't know. There's so many deductions that people don't know about, that the wealthy know about. And I teach my clients the deductions that the wealthy take, because if you do what they do, you can have what they have. So that's a part of the P, protecting. The growing, bar none, the best way to grow your income is to have a home-based business. Most people have a job, and that's fine. You go to work. Let's say you have a 9-to-5. You go, you do your best. You have a spirit of excellence on your job. But when you come home, instead of turning on the electronic income reducer or the electronic intellect reducer, that's what I call the TV. You spend some time decompressing, spend time with your family, have dinner and all that. And then you go, instead of watching the electronic income reducer, you go and you start working on your home-based business, maybe an hour a night during the week, maybe 2 hours, maybe even 3, depends on how much time you have. And then on the weekends, as opposed to watching the football or watching whatever on the television all day long. I think the college games come on Saturday and the pro, and I know people that watch all day. And it's like, until Tom Brady or somebody starts stroking me a check, my team is the Jackson team. So getting all of that out of their system and starting to grow the income so that you can build wealth. Because what goes in to your bank account usually comes out in bills and all these other things. It's conspicuous consumption. But that extra money that you're making when you have a home-based business, you take that and invest that back into the business and then start growing wealth. Don't go out and buy 7 flat screen TVs or a brand new Benz.
Right. And I am in such an agreement with you on that. And that's how my business, how Mitchell Productions started sitting at a girlfriend's kitchen table. And it started with web design services. I was working full time at a bank and spent 25 years there, but I was building this home-based business on the side, eventually got office space. But I am a huge proponent of that, because then you will never, it shifts your mindset, because you won't be in lack. You will always have the ability to make money, and you won't be tied to that. Look, Carolyn, we see, she said, I'm trying to work on it. Listen, keep on working on it, sister. Keep on working on it. Hi, Pastor Kathleen. Thank you for popping on in. Hello, Betty Jean. Thank you for popping on in. Oh, so good. So good. Oh, so KPG. I heard, I want to go back to a couple things. So you have books. I'd love for, is this KPG framework kind of covered in any of your books, or do people work with you one-on-one related to that?
It's covered in How to Escape the Rat Race, basically. And it's basically you are decreasing your expenses, eliminating taxes, increasing your income, and then growing your wealth. And I go over all of those in pretty much more detail in How to Escape the Rat Race. And then I have a co-author book with Dr. Myron Golden, and
Yeah.
that's increasing income and decreasing expenses. So he talks about how to build wealth, how to build a business in his way. He's an expert at that. And then I bring the tax aspect of it, because you don't want to earn that money and then have it still taken. So there's some things that people need to know about tax strategy that aren't just the normal things that you can use, and they're big things that will make a big impact on your bottom line at the end of the year, especially if you're in a business.
Wow. Okay. So I want to hear one or two of those, but where can they purchase the books?
My website is sherrypeeljackson.com, and the books are on the website. I actually took them off Amazon because Amazon takes too much of the money. I'm just for real. So yes, that's where they are. A couple of the deductions that I don't think people know about and that I have utilized myself. Number one would be hiring your children to work for you. When you have a sole proprietor business, or if you have a partnership that's two spouses, you can hire your children between the ages of like 8 and 18, put them to work. Now they have to work, you have to fill out timesheets, but you can give them a salary of up to $15,000 each. And you don't have to pay federal tax, state tax, or any self-employment tax, FICA, any of that. You don't have to pay taxes on them. So I was talking in a conference one time, and the guy he jumped up and started just dancing. And we were looking at him. He had 3 children between the ages of 8 and 18. Yes, that's exactly.
There's my calculator, right?
That's $45,000.
Yes.
And so you pay the children. You can use that they can use it for their tuition for private school, because I'm not a fan of the government school. They can use that, for it's going to teach them how to be entrepreneurs. It's going to teach them how to save money, that they can't spend everything that comes in. Right. And one of the even more sophisticated ways that people use that is the children take some of that money, they buy equipment for the business and lease it back to the equipment. Lease it back to the business. So they have a lease contract with their parents' company. Now, a lot of times, they do have to pay a little kitty tax on that. But when they get to be teenagers, they're going to learn, like I said before, how to make money work for them instead of working for money. So that's one of the biggest ones. I use that. My children were like 6 and 8. And, I started working them. They would take their little checks to the bank. This was before the direct deposit. And the tellers would freak out with these little children that could hardly reach up there, putting those checks up there. And it's like, what are they doing? They never asked me. They just put the money in the bank. Another one, and there are a lot of them, is,
oh my goodness.
It depending on where you live, you might live in an area, and then I'm not talking about Airbnb, because that's a whole nother issue. But there's something called the Augusta Rule, and the Augusta Rule was made for this Masters tournament that we have in Augusta, Georgia, where these Masters teams come in from all over the world, Japan, Australia, and there's these mansions around this golf course, and they want to stay in these mansions, and these people in these mansions, they want to rent their whole mansions out to these golf clubs from around the world, but they didn't want to pay tax on it. So they went to their Congress people and said, hey, we want the income from renting out our homes during this Masters tournament, but we don't want to have to pay tax on it. And Congress literally made the Augusta Rule. So if you rent your home out for 14 days or less during a year, you don't have to pay tax on that. And I looked it up when I found out about this. Those mansions go for at least $10,000 a day. So for 14 days, Sharvette, it is $140,000 that they bring in that they don't have to pay tax on. And I utilized that during the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. Of course, I didn't get $10,000 a day, but I got somebody in here that was a reporter from Copenhagen, Denmark, and they paid me for 14 days. And I used that for private school tuition for my children. So that's just two of several of the things that people just don't hear about that are tax deductions that wealthy people use.
Listen, you are absolutely a wealth of knowledge. If you're just popping on in, look, we see the hearts coming in. Dr. Sherry Peel Jackson.com. If you're listening to the podcast, look down below in the show notes. We have linked her website, linked connection points there. If you're on YouTube, look down below in the show notes as well. Certainly, if you're on Sharvette.com, we have her full bio and the connection points for her link. So you don't have to like, wait, what was it again? And is it Peel, P-E-L, P-E? Listen, we got it. Sherry Peel, P-E-L, Jackson.com. But just look down below in the show notes wherever you're hanging out here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, episode 763, How to Grow Your Business and Enjoy More Income Without the Burnout. Listen, Wendy Lee, we see comedian Wendy Lee said, well, let me get my 12 invisible children on payroll. So, that's going to be between you and whoever your tax professional is there. It's going to be there. So, and so I love these tax strategies that, you've shared. And listen, our time is flying by. I definitely want to deal with like the burnout piece. And, a lot of times, people are like, gosh, I'm trying to save, I'm trying to protect, I'm trying to do all of this. And burnout is a hot topic for some entrepreneurs. What do you just have to say around that, around that piece?
You have to stay laser focused. I'm a very disciplined person. And like my mentor says, if you're not making $10,000 a month, you don't need to be watching TV. So that's totally out the window. And I focus on the now. In other words, I live like nobody else so that later I can live like nobody else. Yeah. So there's certain things that I just don't do so that now I'm focused and I'm not all over the place trying to do so much. So here I'm trying to grow a business. I'm older now, wiser now. And to make sure that I don't get burned out, I have a special project and I have a home in Costa Rica. So I get away at least 4 times a year.
Wonderful.
And I'm building a master planned shipping container community on the Caribbean coast, on the Afro-Caribbean coast of Costa Rica, for those that want a plan B. And then I have some property also in the hills in the same area. So taking the time to reset yourself is going to stop that burnout. I go for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And when I hit a certain curve where that Caribbean blue ocean is, it's like, whoosh, it's all over for at least 2 weeks. I'm there, it's beautiful. The food is wonderful. It's nutrient dense. We don't have a lot of pollution. And so you have to find something in your life that is going to restore your energy and restore everything within you when you start to feel burned out. Don't keep going. Stop, go somewhere, go on vacation, start some other project that's fun. Have some fun in your life. And that's my fun. Because it's something productive, but it's also fun.
Yeah, and there's a lot of monkeys in Costa Rica. Lots of monkeys. Shout out. My mother's in the audience, loves to travel, has been to Costa Rica. Shout out to Kimmy James, our photographer, came back. Her and her mom went to Costa Rica. She loved the monkeys and all of that. So awesome. What motivates you? What continues to motivate you?
What motivates me is being able to teach my family, and I have children, I have grandchildren, teach everybody how to thrive instead of just surviving every day, instead of just living in that earn spend cycle that I talk about. You earn it, you spend it, you start all over, you repeat, and the rinse and repeat, that's old. We don't need that anymore. And also what motivates me is just being my professor. I went to Tuskegee Institute my freshman year. That tells you how old I am. But one of the things that Dr. Fluker said was land is the basis for all independence. And to take my granddaughter to Costa Rica and to see her plant her feet on some land that is hers, it changes the mindset of a child. Absolutely. It changes them. So what motivates me is helping people see that, take the matrix scales off their eyes and see there's something else out there. And yes, the wealthy are doing it, but I can do that too. I can learn how to operate trust and private interest family foundations and those like the Rockefeller. Why is it that Warren Buffett pays less in tax than his secretary? Why is that?
Wow.
Find out these things. You're not going to find out, while you're watching TV and entertaining, but find out and do the same thing. So when I see people light up, when I see them say, hey, you changed my life with what you just taught me with this business. My clients, they repeat, they continue after their year or after their 6 months, because it's like, I got to continue with this motivation. And I'm really a hardline person. So I will not let you I'll get on you like a bulldog. And if you disappear for a while, like, Sharvette, where are you?
Right.
What are you supposed to be doing right now? What about that book? I have several clients that are writing books. Where are you? You gave me chapter 6 and 7 and I reviewed it. Where are chapter 8 and 9? So those types of things.
Wonderful, which is a great ending kind of question of how people can work with you. What are ways that they can work with you and how do they get started?
Well, if people want to start and grow a profitable home-based business, they can get in touch with me. The information is on my website about how to get in touch with me. If people want to write books, if people want to have a plan B in another country, international, it's not as hard as you think. All of the wealthy people, they have land. Oprah has an island. What's his name? Necker Island is the guy that owns Virgin. Why are we not investigating what they're doing? So I teach people exactly. I take the information from them and give it to everyday people that are ready to move beyond their circumstances.
Yeah.
So they can work with me in that way. And if you're being audited, I love to beat the IRS. So I have some people right now that are being audited, and I work behind the scenes to help them win their audits. And it's like, it's not impossible. If you feel like you really deserve that deduction, then we're gonna present that in a way that makes you get that deduction. I've had people that the IRS said owe money and they got money back. So those are my passions. My passion about teaching, my passion about international investing, and my passion about helping people keep what they earn.
I love it. Dr. Sherry Peel Jackson here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Thank you. Hello, Gwen. She said, I stopped in late, but I'm going to come back and catch the replay. Thank you for saying that wherever you're watching. If you like, I just called just the last piece, no problem. You can go back to that same space, listen and watch. Thank you, comedian Wendy Lee. Sharvette has the best guests and asks the best questions. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. And it's been great just having you here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. We wish you much more continued success.
Thank you so much, Sharvette, for having me on. It was fun.
All right, you are welcome. All right. Well, that is a wrap today for the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Thank you for all of those that are always here with us, checking us out. Again, one of the best places to go is Sharvette.com, which is our website for the show. You can see the full bio for our guests. You can click the links. It makes it really simple. You can watch the video of this interview. You can listen to the podcast version of this interview. So Sharvette.com is one of the best places to go. But if you are hanging out wherever you are, make sure you subscribe. Like if you are listening to the podcast, subscribe so we send you notifications. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe so that you can go back and check everything out. Hey, Megan, thank you for stopping on in. We appreciate it. We're glad you found value in the content. Absolutely amazing. Pastor Kathleen, thank you for being here. All right, it is a wrap today. We'll see you all later on the web and, of course, for other upcoming shows. We'll be back.
Live from Richmond, Virginia, you've been listening to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Catch Sharvette Mitchell every Tuesday at 6 p.m., interviewing all the stars you want to hear from. So until next week, stay motivated, excited, and influenced. This is the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show.